Hi. Just before we kick this episode off, I just want to let you know this episode was recorded back on the 15th of December. We've had a bit of content come out since then. If you go back on the What Do You Want to Watch feed, you'll see that we have a spoiler-free review discussion of the first 5 episodes of The Witcher on Netflix. We also did a spoiler discussion of the season of Watchmen that just finished on Monday. And if you head over to Alderaan Explosion, you'll see our big spoiler discussion of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. Me, Dylan, and Kieran have a long 3-hour plus discussion about that movie. Also, all of our best of 2019 TV content is up at explosionnetwork.com. All the links will be in the show notes. So enjoy the show and keep listening, I guess.
Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every fortnight we get together to talk about movies, TV and online content and help you answer the question, how many Home Alone movies has there been? It's 5. Not just the 2 that everybody knows, there's 5 Home Alone movies. Keep up, people.
3's the only one that counts.
Is it though? I'm your host, Ashley Hobley. Yeah. Joining me this episode, Nicholas Pryor.
I'm also your host, Ashley Hobley.
No, he's not. And, of course, Dylan Blight is also here.
Why do I get... Oh, of course, Dylan Blight's also here.
Because it feels like you're always here.
I'm not always here. I've actually taken a couple of these episodes.
Not this year.
Anyway, hi. Hello.
Not this year. Yes. Everybody's here. We're going to be talking about what's in the history of this episode. We're going to be talking about our top 10 TV shows of 2019. And we'll be talking about the movie that we ended up watching, which this week is The Nightmare Before Christmas. But first, let's jump into things we've been watching. Dylan, I saw that you went out and saw the Christmas movie of the season, Black Christmas.
Oh, yeah. I was like, did I watch a Christmas movie? But then, yeah, right, Black Christmas. Third time's the charm, I think, unless I've missed a... I think this is the second time they've remade this movie. That was like an early 2000s one. This one is a lot different than the source material one, I guess, and the original remake. It's like taken it into a very heavy-handed go at like the sorority culture, I guess, and like put a very like I guess feminist swing on it. So it's like the girls getting back at the guys because the guys like sorority culture is the backbone to what leads to these murders kind of happening around this campus. In the original one, it was just like, there's a killer on the loose, you know, like very atypical. And it's also Christmas time. The movie's called Black Christmas. It was very like typical 70s slasher. So this one has a little bit more
political commentary.
Yeah, political commentary, I guess, to its backing to it, which I liked. It is very heavy-handed though, and there is one particular actor playing one bad guy in it who is very, very, very heavy-handed with his delivery of some lines like, I am the evil bad guy type thing. And it gets very close to being quite ridiculous. But when it gets down to the last 20 minutes, I was like, whatever, I don't really care. This action's like pretty good. The kills that was happening were pretty good. The tensest moments of the movie were well paced out. There wasn't like an overuse of music or anything like that. So it's actually a very quiet movie. There's barely any music used for it. And it's just like, okay, people are dying now and whatever else. Didn't blow my socks off. Definitely not like a change all horror movie, but I appreciated trying to do something different, I guess, and like put a spin and actually try and say something, I guess. I've already seen, of course, everyone's like giving it 1 stars online and saying, what, ruining horror movies, damn, SJW horror, you know, like all this sort of stuff. So it's getting like downvoted on lots of user rating places, which I guess I'm going to say that's a win for the movie because it's kind of just trying to piss off those bro culture type dudes by making the movie. So if it's pissing them off, it's winning. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think I'd give it like a 6.5 to a 7 probably. So it's okay.
So I am like an hour removed coming out of a advanced screening of Jojo Rabbit, the latest film from Taika Waititi, in which he plays fiction imaginary friend version of Adolf Hitler. Also starring Roman Griffin Davis, Thomasin McKenzie, Sam Rockwell, and Scarlett Johansson. This is a really fun movie. I had a really good time. It's very sweet. It's a nice coming-of-age kind of film where young Roman Griffith Davis is playing Jojo, a young boy. It's kind of indoctrinated into the Hitler Youth. It's he's very into that Nazism, and he finds out that his mother's been secretly like housing a Jew in their house, which is very bad. And these kids are all taught to believe Jews are these mythical, fantastical creatures that do have horns and wings and eat blood and have mind control powers and stuff. So yeah, it's a fun story of him learning that maybe that isn't correct and that kind of thing. I think it's probably it obviously it could be a bit difficult for people who have ties to Germany and the Jewish people of that time, who obviously involved in the Holocaust and that kind of thing, because Nazism and Hitler and everything is so forefronted of this. Especially the opening credits for the film are pretty much just like parades of people holding up like old footage of people like celebrating Hitler's arrival at different places, and they're all holding up swastikas and shit, and you're like, to the Beatles' "Let Me Hold Your Hand" sung in German, because that's the kind of movie this is. But yeah, I don't know how people who are maybe more connected to that part of history will react to the film, but I had a good time. I think it's a fun satire on the whole Nazism and that sort of thing. It feels very much like a Hogan's Heroes interpretation of the Nazis to make them out look like fools and idiots and that kind of thing. So if you're okay with that, check out Jojo Rabbit when it comes out on Boxing Day. Yeah, it's a really good time.
What a post-Christmas movie.
What a Christmas movie, yeah. Alright, so another film that I saw recently in the cinema, Parasite by Bong Joon-ho. The drama comedy thriller that's been doing the rounds is up for best. He's got him a directing nod at the Golden Globes. It's been talked about. Is on tons of lists for one of the best films of the year. I can see why it is an amazing film. It's pretty much about a family in South Korea who con their way into getting jobs for this more wealthy family. It's like a heist, kind of like a heist movie, except they're trying to get jobs because that's the more difficult thing to do. Like get permanent.
Ultimate heist.
Yeah, the ultimate screw job, getting in full-time employment. But yeah, as they start to succeed, things happen and things take a turn for the worse. So yeah, I don't want to say too much more than that about the plot because it's kind of something you need to experience.
Yeah, you shouldn't, because I've been looking forward to it all fucking year, and it's not out anywhere near me, and I've dodged I barely know anything about the plot, and I've purposely not watched any trailers.
Yeah, so I just gave you a basic, very little. It is very amusing, and then it gets... It is the most exciting ride that I've had in a film in a cinema this year, I think.
It was a good director.
Just an emotional roller coaster. So yeah, definitely check out Parasite if it's still playing near you. I think the cinema that I went to had been playing it for 24 weeks straight. So I think and when I went to see Jojo Rabbit, that cinema was playing at least one screening of Parasite. So got to put in the work. Otherwise, I think, what do we say? February sometime it's coming out on DVD. And Blu-ray.
I've been checking JB Hi-Fi's website like weekly at this point, and every time it's just like, coming soon. I'm like, it's when? When is soon?
Yeah, so's Christmas.
Yeah, it's waiting for that Oscar Best of the Year, Best Picture, so they can put it on the box. But yeah, Parasite, definitely worth seeing when you can. As soon as you can.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Nick, you watched a movie, I'm assuming on Amazon Prime, The Report, starring Adam Driver.
I did.
What's The Report about?
It's about the Senate investigation into EITs, Enhanced Interrogation Techniques, which is what the CIA basically called torture, which they did to, I think it was over 100 and something people following 9/11 up to 2000 and something. But yeah, it's basically the story of this guy Daniel Jones and his, I think it was 6-year investigation into the CIA and all that, and basically getting railroaded but every which way, trying to stop the report coming out. It's very well acted. It's quite depressing to see how the people are treated, and not only that, the lengths that governmental organisations would go to cover up their past wrongdoings and stuff like that. I think it's one of my favourite movies of the year, and like if you have access to Amazon Prime, I definitely suggest watching it.
So Nick, both you and me have watched the final season of Silicon Valley, which just wrapped up recently. What did you think of the final season? How do you feel about it wrapping up?
I thought the ending to the last season would have been the perfect ending, but I was quite happy to see the characters again, but it just seemed to go a bit more into the surreal this season, I think. Like, a bit too, like, high future tech kind of stuff. It's kind of weird how they progress the story, but I guess it was a fine wrap up to the whole 7 seasons. And I saw a lot of people say that the season ending and the season finale was quite jarring, but I thought it was quite a serviceable way to end the show. That basically that they, I don't really want to spoil it, but I don't know, it just seems fitting for the characters to end up where they were in the end.
Yeah, especially for this show, which has been a show that's constantly been throw them under the bus.
One step forward, two steps back.
Yeah, one step forward, 2 steps back. I felt that was like a very fitting finale. I did enjoy this final season. I can understand to a certain extent they've got that futuristic tech, which it was always a futuristic tech to start off with. The idea of this compression system that is way better than any other compression system that we could possibly have was always kind of a little bit far-fetched and crazy. But I enjoyed it. Everybody kind of gets their moments and chances to shine, I feel, this season. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I especially enjoyed what happened with Hooley and how that finally concluded as well, which I thought was kind of a nice end to that part of the story. So yeah. Still on TV, me and Dylan watched the first 3 parts of Crisis on Infinite Earths. If you want our full thoughts on it, you can go check out the previous discussion episode that we've got on the feed. But Dylan, do you want to just give your quick thoughts on Crisis on Infinite Earths?
I stopped watching Arrow and Flash a couple of years ago. I don't watch Batwoman, don't watch Supergirl anymore. I don't watch any of these shows, but I dived in because it looked like a big TV event that I wanted to be a part of, and I enjoyed it. I'm enjoying it. I'm definitely going to watch the next 2 parts. I've had a few things where I was like, I don't know what this is, but for the most part, I feel like if you're like, this looks like a fun time, and I like DC comic book characters, then I'll just dive in. Fuck it.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably might be the strongest of the crossovers so far. Initially, I was watching it, I was like, oh, I don't know how Dylan's going to feel. It's like some of the action is not that great, and there's a fair bit of melodrama in a bit of it. But yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. So as long as you've got like a basic understanding of DC history and maybe like watch a recap kind of thing, you'll be good to dive in. But yeah, they left it on a note that has got me very keen to see the final 2 parts in January. So why we have to wait that long is beyond me. But ratings, that's why. But yeah, Crisis. Dylan, you also watched One Day at Disney, the new series on Disney Plus about the goings-on of Disney employees within Disney's employ. Did you watch the full documentary, or have you just been watching the shorts?
Yeah. No, so they've got a 1-hour documentary out. I don't know if you call it a movie or the first episode. But then after that, now they're dropping these 5-minute mini things now, which like the first one that was out was just kind of an extended version of already what was in the movies. I don't know if that's what they're all going to be for the first couple.
No, the
episodes,
second one's
but-
about like a scuba diver or something, so that wasn't in them.
Okay, so that's completely different than what was in the movie, yeah.
Yeah.
But the first one was about an animator dude who was in the actual movie, so or episode or whatever we're calling it. But no, it's only an hour, so I think it's good, and it's kind of just like this little taste tester of the different areas of what Disney owns now. So it's like, oh, here's this person who works at the Animal Kingdom theme park, and let's look at some animals and like talk to them and why they got into that and why they decided to work there. Let's talk at this person who helped build Galaxy's Edge and like how they got into that job. Let's talk to someone over at the Disney publishing side and see how they go about their day. We'll talk to Bob Iger for 2 seconds in between all these. We'll talk to, I can't remember her name, but like the co-host of Good Morning America and how she got that job and how she goes about that. It's just like little insights into all the different departments inside the Disney ecosystem, which is obviously quite huge these days. Oh, they talk to like one of the like concept artist illustrators on over at Marvel who helps like design all the costumes and these sorts of things for the Marvel movies and stuff. So it just includes a little bit of everything, and because each one's like 10 minutes tops, I guess, like it's just like, okay, a little insight here, and then you're off onto a new person somewhere else, and then you're off to somewhere else. So I enjoyed it. It's good.
Yeah, I thought it was a good insight into the world of Disney and just all the different kind of roles that they have within the company. There's a train person, there's like you said, there's a morning show host, all different facets of the company that you can get, but we're going to get a glimpse of it over the next year or something. I think they've got a book out as well, or they're going to put a book out in conjunction. So I feel like this is going to maybe fill the void of the Imagining series kind of coming to an end, which was a great series. not like in small snippets, but you know, it's something. I also saw that you two have been catching up on a few different things you missed so far this year. Nick, you went out and watched Knives Out. What did you think?
I quite enjoyed it. It was different. It's not really what I was expecting. I liked that. I guess it was.
What were you expecting?
I don't know. I guess I expected it to be more straightforward, maybe. But
No, you shouldn't have, because you was here last episode when me and Ash strictly said it was nothing like what we expected it to be. And you're like, it wasn't what I was expecting.
I mean, it's not surprising.
Yeah, no, I quite enjoyed it. I don't think it's going to be my favourite movie of the year, but it was quite an enjoyable ride. It was fun to see all the characters interacting. I mean, I guess the whodunit was quite obviously the person who did it, but just the way that the story was told was quite intriguing. It was just fun to see, I guess, the star-studded cast acting, interacting with each other, especially Daniel Craig playing that kind of character. I really enjoyed.
I suspect foul play.
I thought it was quite good how they introduced the character as well, where he was just like there sitting in the back when they're interviewing people.
Playing the piano.
Yeah.
Ding, ding.
Yeah, no, I quite enjoyed it. Definitely worth a watch.
Cool. Dylan, I saw that you watched The Favourite from earlier this year.
Yeah, finally got around to it. It's really good.
Late last year.
Yeah. Well, let's be real. It's basically this year. Anything after Christmas is basically January.
I believe it came out. It came out here in January. So
No, it was.
I looked up before. It said like 26th
21st or something of December.
Yeah.
Okay.
This year it came out when I watched it.
Everything's this year when I see it.
Yeah. No, it was really good. It was. I don't think you've watched one of his movies before. Yeah, old Yugmoth, or however you say his name.
No,
Have you watched one of his movies? Yeah. So I went into it and it was nothing like I was expecting, because usually
it's not crazy.
Like it's. I think it's because it's based on a true story, other than the fact. Well, I mean, like they're real people, but they're like the whole was the queen into women. That's like something that's kind of a fairy tale that they're obviously turning into the main plot of the story. But like other movies of his that I like The Lobster, I'm a big fan of. That movie's very out there. So I think this is like obviously based a bit more in reality. But no, the performance is really, really good. It's funny. It's twisted. The dark humor of it all very much worked for me. I laughed out loud a couple times because I was just like, it's just the dialogue and the way that actors all like interact with one another that makes it all work. I really like the way he shot it as well. Like a lot of these, it's not shot like a period piece, even though obviously it is. Like it uses a lot of interesting camera angles and like these really wide lenses in the corner of rooms at times so you can see everything that's happening in the room and so on and so forth. And all the costumes are really cool. Obviously, production was really great. Probably a bit too long. I probably could have. Is my only thing. I feel like it just moves really, really fast for a period, and then it kind of hits like a bump and on its way to the finish line. Considering how fast the movie comes out of the gate, and it's like, like witty dialogue and all this sort of stuff happening. But no, it's really, really great performances, and I'm happy that what's her face won for it.
Olivia Colman.
Olivia Colman.
Yeah.
The Queen.
She's great in it. Yeah, the Queen won. Yeah, because she's great as a depressed queen.
Yeah, she's pretty good. And then Nick, you also watched It Chapter 2.
Yep.
How did you feel about that?
Mixed feelings. Like, I enjoyed the wrapping up the story, but I felt like, I guess for me, there was just a severe over-reliance on CGI, and you could tell it was CGI, and it just really took me out of the experience.
Worse than the first movie.
Yeah, it was. It was quite bad. Like, I mean, quite a few of the things they could have done, I guess, live action, but I don't know. Yeah, very. I guess not so much disappointing, but kind of like. I guess disappointing is the word compared to how well they did the first part.
But now that you've seen it, this is my thing with it, because the first one obviously I think works a lot better because it's solely just like, here's the kids side, blah 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 blah. The second movie, they're like, okay, well now we're going to start doing this flashback stuff, like how the book works.
Yeah,
which made me just be like, I really wish that this movie was still 2 parts, but from part 1 it was always starting with the adults and flashing back to the kids, and they just did it that way from the get-go, because you come into part 2 and it's just very like, okay, this is what we're doing now. You know, it's just weird. I wasn't the biggest fan of it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not going to be on my top for the year. I mean, I guess it was fine.
Okay. Well, now I guess we're going to move into the mandatory Netflix segment. We're going to be talking about the big Oscar contender for the year, Marriage Story, which dropped on Netflix, directed by Noah Baumbach, starring Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson. We've all watched it. Nick, what did you think of Marriage Story as the only married person here?
It was very, very uncomfortable to watch. It's one of the movies that has hit home for me quite more than any other that I can remember. It certainly made me reevaluate certain things in my marriage, I guess. It's incredibly well acted, directed, shot. It's just so very emotional to watch as well. Yeah, I won't say I had a good time watching this movie, but it was a very, very good movie.
Did you watch it with Stacey?
No, I watched it alone.
Okay. Would you want?
She thinks the movie looks stupid.
Are you glad you did?
I don't know. Not that glad that I didn't, but I don't think she's not an avid moviegoer, so I don't think she would have given the attention it needed or deserved.
Yeah. Dylan, I believe you're very high on this film.
Yeah, so I watched it the morning it dropped, because as was last episode, I said how much I was looking forward to it, and it was very, very good. I 10 out of 10, I think it's easily top 3 movies of the year for me.
I think I saw most of it through memes before the movie anyway.
Yeah, I'm so glad I missed that. That's honestly, I was going to bring that up. So I watched the movie that morning. I'm like, fucking safe. And then as soon as I start, like, I go to work later that day, and it like hits the afternoon, I guess, after some people started watching it, and I was getting sick of it. Seeing that one fucking fight scene posted every time, everywhere, all these other things. Oh my God, Jesus Christ. Watch things ASAP if you can, people. That's the moral of the story. But it would have ruined it for me, I think, honestly. But performances are amazing. Scarlett and Adam
You would
Driver
have
are
thought she
both
could
really
act.
good. I believe she can act because I've seen her act, but she just these days is like,
Well,
whatever, like Lost in Translation or all these other things back
Ghost
in
in
the
the
day.
Shell.
Yeah, Ghost in the Shell. So they're both really, really great. I thought the script was obviously great. A lot of the other bit actors quite good. I think it's quite funny at times when it needs to be. There's like one time where, I mean, it's not really a big spoiler because obviously the whole movie's about getting a divorce, but there's one time where Adam Driver's character's like talking to his lawyer at the time, and his lawyer's like, if I was your lawyer, and then Adam Driver's character just goes, you are my fucking lawyer.
Actually, I want to say how much of a treat it was to see Alan Alda act again.
no,
Hasn't
he's
he
so
been in
good.
stuff for ages?
Yeah.
Did
He's
he
really
retire?
good.
Or
Well,
just like,
it's the first thing I've seen him in quite a while. Anyway,
yeah, I hadn't seen him pop up for
I was more surprised by Wallace Shawn. That was a trip.
Who?
Wallace Shawn, from Princess Bride. He was only in it
Who was
for
he?
a bit.
he was one of the
older
actors in the theatre company.
Yeah.
All right. The person I was going to point out was Ray Liotta, and he's
Yeah, he
most
was quite
recent
good in
nose
it
job.
too.
Well, he's good, but I was like, the recent nose job. I honestly did not realize it was him until the end of the movie.
Really?
No, did not recognize him.
Wow.
Did not recognize him. Full stop. And I was like, wow, that was a really great performance. Did not realize it was Ray Liotta until the credits was like, that's like Ray Liotta. I'm like, what the fuck? I was in there. I was
Wow.
ready to go look up who it was because I was like, that guy was great. Especially the one scene. No, it really great movie. I will say that I think the movie's obviously I don't think you need to be married for the movie to like hit a chord with you. I just think you have to have been someone who's like in any sort of long-term relationship. It'll hit chords for you, I guess, is the way I will say, because it all boils down to the same thing at the end of the day. I guess that could be a turn-off for some point, but also I think the reason that I like the movie so much is I don't feel like it has like a hero and bad guy, and I appreciated that.
It's a very
Like-
human story, I think.
Yeah, it's not. I think I would have got really annoyed if at the end of the day I felt like, oh, that was like, oh, she was the bad guy, he was the bad guy, blah
Yeah.
blah blah blah. And I don't think it's like a huge spoiler to say that the movie paints some sort of just the reality of life and
They're both
relationships
kind of
sometimes, which
sympathetic
is
characters.
in some ways,
In
and then
some
in others
degrees,
they're
yeah.
not.
Yeah,
Yes, it gives you a little
they,
bit
they,
of
they
both.
both treat each other like shit.
Yeah.
At times, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They're both, they're not exactly, neither of those characters are people I'd be like, great examples of people, like there's.
No, it was
they're-
definitely not a healthy relationship.
No. So, and I think that's what makes it interesting. It's, as much as it's about divorce, I guess it's just more a movie about the modern day relationship, I guess. Because everyone's selling it as a divorce movie, but I think it's more. I think it's more a love story than people give it credit for.
I think, especially with the way it began and the way it ended, like the very beginning and the very ending, really showed that these two people really cared
still
for each other at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, people, the whole it's a divorce movie is a weird way to describe it to me because I don't
Yeah.
I didn't walk away from the movie being like that's a divorce movie.
I
walked
think it's
away
more
going,
accurate to say it's a relationship movie.
Yeah, it's a relationship movie, and I don't think it's a negative one.
No.
Given the way it ends, I think obviously it has a lot of intense scenes and can definitely hit chords for people. But I think at the end of the day, it's not like this will make you never want to get into relationships. Like this will ruin love story movies for you, like that sort of thing. I actually think I really liked the ending. I thought it was bittersweet and whatever else. There's one scene right before the ending that's the best of the movie, I think. So
Well, when you're together with someone for that amount of time of your life, you become entwined with a piece of each other, and it's just very difficult breaking away and changing to, I guess, separate. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this as well. So just say that. I thought acting across the board pretty impressive. Again, the two leads are really good. I enjoyed Laura Dern as well, who is another person who's had a really good run of films lately. But yeah, again,
and
across the
TV,
board.
Big Little Lies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
saying that, she was very similar to her character in that, I found.
In Big Little Lies, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
similar character. But in this she's a lawyer, and in that she's a
Yeah, CEO or whatever.
yeah, but either way, she's just doing a lot of yelling at people.
But yeah, it's an interesting look at a relationship, because I guess when you have a child, you're never, like they say in the movie, they're like going to be stuck together forever. Seeing as they've got that, they're going to constantly be in each other's lives no matter what. So, which is kind of the modern day marriage, I guess. For a lot of people, given so much divorce and that kind of thing, I think people, even if you do get divorced, you're still kind of married to the other person to a certain degree. But yeah, Marriage Story.
The other thing I want to bring up is that, quickly go over again how everyone was posting that fucking the key anger match scene. The one thing that was doing my head in, and this is just, I want to use this as an example for movies and in general. So many people I saw posting that and saying this is bad acting and like, oh, look at them overacting and all these sorts of things. This is why I get so annoyed when stuff like key moments and key like emotional scenes get posted online out of context, because I'm like, you're not watching it with the hour beforehand that leads to that moment. You haven't been with these characters. You don't know what they're like before this. And all these people are just watching that and be like, oh, look at this, overacting, terrible, all this sort of stuff. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, this, social media these days. I'll tell you what, ruin it.
Yeah.
Ruin shit.
But the other thing I want to mention, obviously, is getting a lot of Oscar buzz. Do you think there hasn't been as much pushback, I feel, this season to Netflix films being up for Oscar? Do you think it's because...
No, because they've been putting them in cinemas, and this went to cinemas. Went to cinemas a month before release.
Yeah, but so was Roma for a little bit. But people seem to get quite upset about that.
Right? Yeah, the same
Maybe
amount
not
of people
to the
are probably
degree.
going to get... Same people are going to get upset. Roma was, they weren't going to do a cinema. Netflix Academy started getting up a fuss, then they quickly kind of shoved it into cinemas. This year, because of Roma last year, Netflix has just been better throughout the entire year of making sure that any movie they feel like needs to be in cinemas for...
Yeah,
obvious reasons,
see, it's in the
been
cinemas. You can't say anything now.
Yeah, so they put Irishman in, they put this in, there's, whatever. And, if when the Oscars come around, look, end of the day, in my mind... I don't, spoiling my top 10 probably for a bit. I don't know where these movies place, but in my mind, my short list includes Irishman and this in my top 10. And I feel like both of those have a very high chance of Oscar nominations. So it's like, what are they going to do? Every year, Netflix just keeps making these good movies that they honestly are just some of the best movies of the year. They just keep producing them. So Academy just has to get the fuck over it. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah.
But yeah. And then the only other thing to mention about the movie, did you guys have any issues with the score? Some people were having trouble with the score to this film.
What?
Because it's done by Randy Newman.
Yeah, but why is that a problem?
I don't know. People were saying it's too much like Toy Story and didn't fit.
Randy Newman's done plenty of non-Toy Story stuff.
I'm just reiterating what I've seen on the internet.
What the fuck? Randy Newman does heaps of stuff. You're making me like... Is this one of those occasions where people like picked up something in the credits and was like, Randy Newman? This is odd. I bet you if I fucking type his name in there, like we'll see what he's done this year.
The score never even entered my mind.
Yeah, there isn't much of a score from memory.
No.
Two episodes of Euphoria he scored. Mr. Mercedes, 2 episodes.
Very much like Toy
Production
Story.
Cannonball. Black Mirror, he wrote an episode of Black Mirror. The guy cannot be a Disney saint if he's writing episodes of Black Mirror. The fuck? Come on now.
What episode do you write?
We're going down the hole now, aren't we? Look, Ash is like, why did I mention?
Yeah. Welcome to Wiki Dive, the show where we dive through wikis.
I mean, this is the whole show. He wrote Crocodile, season 4, episode 3. That is one where out in the snow. A woman interviews various people using a device that allows her to access their memories. I remember this one. It was quite good.
Cool. Okay, then. Marriage Story. So I was lucky enough to watch the second season of Lost in Space a bit early. If I believe we talked about it last year, probably around April. It's coming out Christmas Eve from memory. Hope I got that right. On Netflix. It's a step up. I think it's really good. I think it's probably one of the best family sci-fi shows you can be watching at the moment. It definitely feels like they've gone more of a Battlestar Galactica way, the reboot, than the original direction of the show. Obviously, it's more, there's these group of survivors who were all traveling to Alpha Centauri in the first season. The ship got attacked, and they all got kind of separated. The ship got stuck somewhere. They were trapped on a planet. They got off the planet. End of the last season, the Robinsons got separated. Everybody else. Start of this season, they're stuck on this one planet, which they've been on for 7 months. That explains why all the kids look a fair bit older. There's a bit of a time jump. The show starts on Christmas. That's why it's set at Christmas. But yeah, got him. But yeah, I think it's really good. They kind of expand on the family dynamic a bit more. They do a nice flashback episode that explores the relationship between Julie and the dad. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. That was good. They explore the more. They touch on the history of the robot and the robot race, which has been the alien robot race, which has been a big part of is going to be a big part of the show and has been a big part of the show. And yeah, it's just fun. It's a fun family sci-fi show. One you can watch with the kids and that kind of thing without scaring them too much, without scarring them too much. And I really enjoyed where they left it at the end of the season with a clear view of what's going to happen in season 3. So you can check out my review for Lost in Space season 2 on the explosionnetwork.com. But yes, I would definitely recommend, if you enjoy the first season, you're definitely going to enjoy the second season. And if you didn't love the first season, second season might be more up your alley. But yeah. I also watched Klaus, the animated Christmas movie. Klaus, that showed up on Netflix. Pretty much acts as like an origin story for Santa Claus. In a world where mailmen are like really important for some reason. But
well, they are today. It's Christmas time. Come on. What would we do without them? I had Amazon
What would we
package
do without
arrive
us?
today. Arrived today, Amazon did.
Yeah. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it is probably the best Christmas related thing being released this year.
No, calm down. Star Wars is out.
It's not Christmas related.
Yeah, it is.
Not really. Yeah, so there's this pretty much the story is there's this elitist child, the type, the kid who's from a wealthy family, who does nothing, called Jesper.
Donald Trump.
Yep,
Jr.
that's probably more accurate.
Ivanka Trump.
His father's like head of the mailmen, so he sends him off to pay his dues in a small city that's never had a successful mailman there. And his job is to deliver 6,000 letters within a year. And he tricks the character of Claus into giving children toys in return for letters so he can get his mail delivery up. Because the town is like, it's like a West Side Story where there's two families that are against each other. But
He's scheming.
the children and the toys bring everybody together, which, the head of those families don't like, so... there's conflict and that kind of thing. I really enjoyed it. Jason Schwartzman plays the Jesper character. J.K. Simmons is Claus, even though he doesn't say a lot. But Rashida Jones also, yeah, Rashida Jones in it. Will Sasso. It's a fun animated film. Again, the best Christmas related film I've seen this year, and I've seen 2.
Oh, 50 shot.
Yeah, but no, I think it's really good. I think I mentioned last episode, it's up for an Annie Award for Best Picture this year, so definitely worth checking out. It's got a very beautiful art style. Yeah, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. And then, Nick, you watched a film that I talked about earlier in the year, I Am Mother, the Australian produced film. What do you think?
Yep. It was fine, I guess. I mean, all the really the themes of the show and even kind of the story has been done before in other movies that I've seen. I mean, it was an interesting take on it, but I can just take it or leave it.
Okay. You did. What do you think of the robot? Of,
It was technically well done, especially the CGI of the robot and knowing how they did it from watching the CGI artist react kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was fine.
you weren't
I wouldn't
surprised?
recommend anyone rush out and see it. Surprised by...
It's 6 months old, so I don't think anybody's going to rush out. But.
they haven't rushed by this point.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I remember enjoying it more than that. So, but yeah, it is what it is. I also want to bring up. I watched Nailed It, the holiday edition for this season. Nailed It, the show.
How many
in which
episodes is this one?
it's 6, I think, off the
Okay.
top of my head. In which they make bad bakers make baking things. It's a lot of fun. Nicole Byer obviously is the host, and she's enjoyable to watch, judge, and talk and banter as they're terribly baking. Jason Mantzoukas is features an episode. He's hilarious. Shame with Maya Rudolph's a judge for one episode with the real star this season, Paul Scheer from shows like he's in The League. He's in a bunch of stuff. He's on the show not as a host, not as a guest judge. He's one of the contestants
Really?
for an episode. Yes.
For a single episode?
For a single episode, is one of the contestants competing for the Nailed It trophy, which is a lot of fun to watch him be as bad as everybody else. So there you go. Celebrities can be bad at baking, just like you. So definitely worth checking out if you're in the Christmas period. It was a fun thing, just like watch while you're doing other things. You can watch the awful things they make. You can see them burning measuring cups in the microwave and all kinds of things. All right. That brings us to the end of that segment. We're going to be now jumping in to our top 10 TV shows of 2019. Believe it or not, we've all got top 10s. First in What Do You Want to Watch history. All right. So, Nick, what is your number 10 TV show of 2019?
Big Little Lies.
Do you want to expound on that a little bit, please?
Season 2.
Season 2, yes, correct. It was fun, or not really fun, but it was good to... not real fun. It was good to jump back into that story and see the aftermath of what happened in Season 1, but it was well acted and stuff, but I didn't really like the way that the story wrapped up. I mean, it was...
Are you talking about literally the last 5 minutes?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very, very good series of television, but like I said, the ending kind of soiled it, maybe for me to put it higher in the list.
Okay. Dylan, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is Mindhunter, Season 2.
Oh, I forgot about that.
It's already happened. He's like, shuffle positions. All right, I've used number 10, but I can fit it in if I delete number 14. Move number 3 up, 7, divided by my 7s. Oh, crumble. Mindhunter Season 2. Obviously, we talked about it on this a couple months ago, whenever it is it came out. I love the first season. I watched that when it dropped. I was been waiting for this for a very, very long time, and I was very, very happy with the second season. I like the way that they're slowly moving it, obviously more towards, we're going to reach a point maybe with season 3 where it's just going to be more of like, you're following like a more famous serial killer case that you know now. I guess for some people it might be a turn off that not every season's exactly like the first one, where it's more about interviewing people and whatever, but to me it makes perfect sense that they slowly move away from that, and the second season was like slowly less interviewing, more action, and that just makes
more
sense.
putting into practice what they've learned.
Yeah, which makes sense as like an evolution of literally what's going to happen here. So it's well acted, amazing shot. I just appreciate the dark tone of it all. I always feel like it's like the test for this is like, did you like Zodiac? Yeah, watch Mindhunter. That's like my whole thing and how it adds up. Yeah. So now hopefully I don't have to wait 2 more years for next season, but if I do,
will.
then that's what that's what I'm going to deal with. Also, the female, I'm trying to remember, Anna Torb's character, I can't remember her name, but her storyline, I like how they gave her more to do this season as well, like more of a storyline outside of just at the workplace, and like gave her some personal storyline this season. Obviously, that was really good, and I appreciate that. So that's my number 10, Mindhunter.
Yeah, really good choice. My number 10 is Daybreak, the series on Netflix. That's like a post-apocalyptic teen comedy drama adventure. This is probably a little bit of recency bias coming into it, but I really enjoyed that series. It's so stylistic. They're just throwing a bunch of different stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. Matthew Broderick shows up and does some of the best work he's done in years. And yeah, all the kids, they're all fun and enjoyable. And there's an episode narrated by RZA for no apparent reason other than is RZA. I mean, it's pretty great. And yeah, really enjoyable. 10 episodes on Netflix, worth checking out. Nick, what is your number 9?
Did you write a review for that?
I did write a review on that. You can check it out at
exposure.com.
There is going to be a lot of plugs.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got to remember to hit your plugs. Come on, remember to hit your plugs.
Nick.
Yes.
Number 9.
I did not write a review for this, but it's Russian Doll. The a miniseries, I guess you could call it.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah, pretty much Groundhog Day.
It's getting a second season, isn't it?
Is it?
I'm pretty sure. I remember reading.
Thursday.
I remember talking about this last time we talked about it.
Yeah.
So watch the show.
Probably reiterating what I say. I don't know how they could do a second season, but it's very much a Groundhog Day. But I don't know really how to explain it. Differentiates in a way. I think it's quite funny, very well acted, and just I guess. Oh fuck! What's the main character actress's name?
Natasha Lenoit or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, you probably know her from Orange Is the New Black, but it's just the way her character is and the way she interacts with the world is very enjoyable to watch. I guess. I mean, they're definitely not a good person, but yeah, I think it's a fun little series for you to watch. You could probably smash it out in half a day if you really wanted to.
Because they're half hour, aren't they?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's only like 7 episodes, I think, too.
Yeah. All right. Dylan, what's your number 9?
My number 9 is the first season of the surprise, very early Netflix series from January, Sex Education. Which is one of those ones that kind of stuck in very early in the year, would be easy to forget about, but very, very funny, very unique, I think, for the genre of like teen growing up, that sort of genre, and like the way they handle both the angle of growing up and like the way they spin off a lot of cliche characters in interesting directions, because obviously you've got like the bully character and like the popular chick and I guess the main character who's played by Asa Butterfield would fit somewhat towards obviously the geeky nerdy character, but then also he's got like the quote unquote hot mum, I guess, that all the kids would be like, well, you got the hot mum, and she's obviously a sex therapist. So it makes life a bit awkward for him. And then you got his best friend Eric. Let's try and check real quick. Yeah, Eric. Who's also really great in the show, and it's just got a whole bunch of really great characters. Also, the teacher, Mr. Greg or whatever, he's really great. The show's just had a lot of heart, I think, and it was very funny. And I also think what made it stick out to me is because it's not American. Like the setting also kind of separates it from the million other shows set, very typical American high schools or whatever, colleges, these sorts of campuses. Didn't have any of that like American college campus culture type, boring American high school, American Pie type shit happening. No, I really, really enjoyed it. And second season is out next month. So I'm looking forward to January. That.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. Just outside my top 10, I think. I think the thing I like about it is, like, obviously you get drawn in because it's like sex is in the title, but it doesn't treat it so much as a taboo kind of thing. They treat it a bit more seriously than I feel like a lot of the American comedies do. It's like a relationship building thing rather than sex.
It's not bro. It's not like the usual like broy sex show where it's like all about the guy trying to get the girl, and like all of the jokes are played out for like guy humor on screen and all these sorts of things. Like there is nudity in it, but at the same time doesn't feel the same as like American Pie nudity scenes where it's very much like trying to play to a guy audience. I feel like the show, yeah, it's like it's trying to be like sex is a thing, and they're trying to teach the show that like the show's literally about the Ace Butterfield's character kind of helping kids with sex because his mum's a sex therapist, even though he has issues himself. And I guess in that way, the show's representation of all that fits the theme, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, great show. My number 9 is the 3rd season of Glow. Still a great show. This time they're in Las Vegas. I think I said we did a review discussion earlier this year. I think I said it's not as great as the 2nd season, but it's still very, very good. This season they got to expand on a few other different characters rather than just Ruth and what's Debbie's character as well. Yeah. So they got to expand on a lot more characters. Mostly what's his name? The manager guy.
Mark Maron.
Nope. The guy from Veronica Mars.
Yep.
Petey. Yeah, this is. Should have done more research, but yeah, Glow season 3. Definitely keen to see what they do in the 4th and final season next year.
Yeah, I had that one probably at like 11 or 12.
Yeah,
I'm on it, like just outside.
I'll just say it here. I was going to reread it at the end. Great year for television. There is a lot of stuff that just missed out on this top 10 list. In my opinion,
especially when you
Bash.
forget about it.
Bash is the character's name, played by
Bash.
Chris
Yes, he had an interesting storyline. Nick, what is your number 8 TV show of 2019?
My number 8 is the Australian show Mr. In Between. I've talked about it previously on the show. It's Australian crime / comedy, I guess, show. It's about a father who's a hitman, also trying to balance his personal life with his daughter and his sick brother and their relationship with his girlfriend. This is season 2. It goes in a much darker, more serious route. I find like his world and life is coming apart because of the choices he makes and stuff like that. And I think it's good drama. It's much better watched as a binge show, I find, because it's quite slow paced, episode to episode, like a week, waiting the week in between. But I think as a whole, it's a gripping, like 13 or 11 episodes of television. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, good. I think that's might be the one Australian show on our list. It's, which, it's a good thing. Dylan, what is number 8 on your list?
Stranger Things season 3. My favorite season of Stranger Things. I think I've decided as a whole. I think obviously the first season was like this big thing, and it was the first one. But I've had season 3 was the one that brought me back in because I wasn't the biggest fan of season 2. Obviously, not for the one episode that everyone hates, but more so just because I felt like they introduced a bunch of stuff and the writing didn't feel as good and whatever else. This season made all those characters I thought were stupid last season actually into interesting people and had purposes, and I love the way it all came together. And then of course the last couple of episodes are super emotional, and I'm excited for the direction the show could head in the future, especially given that this season ends kind of like it's the Empire Strikes Back of the Stranger Things, I guess, because it has a very like somber downer of a ending, and you're like, okay, well, what are we doing next, guys? Like, yeah, so Stranger Things season 3, it was great.
Great.
I wrote a review for every episode and the season. ExplosionNetwork.com.
Yeah, I think we did a review discussion as well, didn't we? That sounds like something we've done.
They all mix. Yeah, I think so, yes. And it was a review discussion, ExplosionNetwork.com.
There's related content on ExplosionNetwork.com.
My number 8 is season 2 of Succession. I feel like the show blew up on Twitter this year. It is fun to watch, even if all the characters are terrible people. Just to hear them banter and talk and scheme against each other. Every week I was very keen to check out what was going to happen in each episode, and I was generally not disappointed. Yeah, and especially where they left it ended this season. Very keen to see how they pick it up. Especially there was a lot of great actors come in as well. They had Holly Hunter, they had Cherry Jones, they had a bunch of different big, reasonable names or character actors who played very important roles throughout the season. And yeah, it is some of the best dialogue on TV on Succession. So yeah, if you haven't watched Succession, definitely worth checking out. Especially, I'm talking to you, Nick, because I'm pretty sure you'd like Succession.
It's on my list of stuff to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. So on the list of stuff you did watch, what is number 7?
Number 7 is Derry Girls, season 2 in particular. It's hard for me to differentiate the 2 seasons, which I guess is a good thing and a bad thing because I watched them at the same time, but it didn't feel like there was any particular quality drop-off, or it didn't skip a beat in its writing. For those who don't know, it's kind of like a coming-of-age story of 4 girls and 1 guy that go to a school in Northern Ireland, and it's set during the late 80s, early 90s of the Troubles. It's very well written. It's quite funny. Just the situations they get into and all the characters and their interactions are a joy to watch. And the thing I like about it the most, I guess, is they've written in a more believable way, whereas kind of like a show that would be American is kind of over the top, where these are more realistic, I guess, interactions with each other, I guess. But yeah, it's different and I enjoy it for that, and I guess because I have an interest in that period of history at time in Ireland as well, that speaks to me on that level as well.
Cool.
It's on Netflix as well for people
on Netflix.
who don't know.
Dylan, what is your number 7?
My number 7 is the 3rd season of True Detective. I guess kind of like very much a similar story to Stranger Things. I was obviously True Detective season 2. No one I know liked, so I think the overall consent. I didn't even finish the 2nd season. That's how much I didn't like it. The 3rd season is back on form. It's much better written. It has way better characters. It's very interconnected, kind of like the 1st season was, with lots of like flashing back, forward, all over the place. But you can tell they've actually spent time with this, and they didn't try and rush it out, because I think that was the major problem with the 2nd one. They tried to rush out this follow-up season after the smash hit, and this time they got time to actually work on the scripts and these sorts of things. It doesn't have the... I guess the 1st season had this great Woody Harrelson, Matthew McConaughey duo that everyone kind of latched onto. I wouldn't say the duo in this is as like, it's never going to be that, but Mahershala Ali is great, and so is Stephen Dorff. They're both really great together as the 2 main cops in this, but they just don't have that it factor, I guess. The story hits on different elements. Like the main character is someone who like went to war, so then there's like a tying in factor of dealing with that as a character, and then other elements that come in that the show's never really played around with before. And then also this season does something that I was happy with, that American Horror Story has kind of done of recent, which is that American Horror Story at some stage, I'm only comparing it to that because it's an anthology series, not because the writing is exactly the same caliber, but American Horror Story at some stage was like, you know what, all these things are like kind of interconnected, and we can do events and whatever else. And this season of True Detective was like, yeah, they're all connected in some ways. Now I'm like, okay, good. Like we do have, I don't need the big connections, but I do like that there is now like confirmed way that this could all tie in together and whatever else. But yeah, True Detective was back in form.
Cool. My number 7 is Brooklyn Nine-Nine season 6. Picked the 1st season under NBC. It was a lot of fun. It's just more Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is more than you could possibly ask for. There are a lot of great episodes. Highlights include Hitchcock and Scully, an episode that sort of flashes back to explain how Hitchcock and Scully become like the terrible people they are. The 2 really bad, lazy cops they are. He Said, She Said, which is like a Me Too sort of episode that they explore a case of sexual assault and like alleged sexual assault, while also doing some having a Disco Strangler tie-in, which is callback to previous seasons. And then they also had like a ticking clock episode, which takes place like a real-time kind of episode, starring Shaw and Aston as well. So lots of fun guest stars. Other big one, I think, was Lin-Manuel Miranda came in this season. And yeah, it is a great season of television, but what do you expect from Brooklyn Nine-Nine at this point?
This is the one show for you I can guarantee it'll be on your top 10 every year, I swear to God.
Yeah, it's just one of those feel-good TV shows, the comfort shows. So yeah, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Nick, what is your number 6?
Number 6 is The Mandalorian.
Ooh.
We're not all the way through, but it's just a joy to, I guess, romp around in that particular time period and of Star Wars. It hasn't really had much depth to it to me so far, but it's, yeah, like I said, a joy to be in that universe again in this particular format, in a live action kind of serial kind of thing, and it's more like a Western than any other Star Wars I've seen, in my opinion anyway, and I like Westerns and Star Wars, so it's kind of like
it's a samurai movie, actually, I'll have you know. Not a Western.
But yeah, I'm quite enjoying it. I'll be keen to see where they wrap it up. But yeah, I'm keen to see more of it and recommend any Star Wars fan to watch it.
Yeah, maybe I should have put The Mandalorian on my list. Anyway, yeah, it's a great show. If you want to hear more about The Mandalorian, you should listen to our weekly after show called The Mandalorians with an E. You find explosionnetwork.com. Dylan, what's your number 6?
My number 6 is Big Little Lies season 2. So double here. Is this the first double up we've had? Yeah, the first double
I think so. Yeah.
I was a big fan of the first season. I really liked the second season. I understand what Nick was hinting at before with the last 5 minutes kind of being like, okay, but I don't hate it like he does. And even if I did, I feel like everything up until that point was just so good that I don't think it would ruin it for me, because especially since that last episode, I just love it so much. Like the acting you get from everyone in that final episode, especially Nicole Kidman and Meryl Streep, is like standout acting on television for me, for sure, from the year. I was just like, give her all the fucking Emmys, just take them all now. Like that's how, it's one of those like just performances, I think. And I think the other reason I really like it is just because when they announced it, I was like, I don't need this. It makes no sense. Why would you do a follow-up season to this? The last season was perfect as it is. Leave it the fuck alone. And then when I sat down and I finally watched the show, I was like, that's actually an interesting way to take this story like into a second season. And I enjoyed the way it developed, and it was just like a sign of like sometimes you just gotta trust people, I guess, especially considering there's all these all the behind-the-scenes drama a bit with this show, and like changing of hands and 1,000,001 editors on each episode and this sort of stuff. And when it came down to it, you honestly could not tell there was like 17 editors per episode, because it was just really, really, really good television.
Cool. My number 6 is Game of Thrones season 8.
Yeah, here it is.
Oh my god.
I mean, say what you will about it critically, I had a great time. And I don't think it's just because of the show. I think it's everything surrounding the show as well. Just the discourse, and it all comes together to create like an enjoyable experience. I think episode 3, The Long Night, despite having some issues, it is an incredible episode of television. Season 2, episode 2, I think, is like one of the standout character pieces of the year. And we got some great moments in there. Sure, there might have been some rushed storytelling, but I think it ended reasonably well given the time constraints that they've put on themselves. So yes.
What a sentence. It ended very well considering the time constraints they put on themselves.
Yeah. And
you fucking kneeler.
If you wanted to hear an episode by episode reaction to Game of Thrones, you should go back and listen to South the King's Landing at explosionnetwork.com.
Yeah.
Nick, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is Barry, the HBO show. I think it's season 3?
Season 2.
Season 2. Yeah, it's very similar in a way by premise of Mr. In Between. But it's, again, he's a hitman and he's trying to get out of the life, I guess, but he keeps on being dragged in by whatever kind of events that keep happening, and just there's some very fantastic character moments in it. There's some very like off the cuff kind of episodes that are some of the best television of the year. It's just a joy to see a lot of the characters, especially NoHo Hank and stuff like that, and their interaction. It's quite funny and humorous, very well written and acted, and yeah, it's easily digestible as well. It's one of the better shows of the year, in my opinion, anyway.
Good. That's why it's on your list. Dylan, what is your number 5?
My number 5 is the miniseries Looking for Alaska, which I obviously recently talked about. I think this is my most recent, definitely one of my more recent ones. As I said quite recently, it's 8 episodes. It's one story. It's really well acted by these younger actors. It's interesting to watch because it's not set like 2019, so that's also a fun factor of it. It's set like early 2000s. Then it's hard to talk about spoiling, of course, but yeah, so I was a fan of the book. I think this show is better, and that's going to be my big selling point for it. Like, it's one of only a couple things in my life where I'm like, I prefer the adaptation to the source material. It doesn't happen very often, but they just expanded these characters from the book and made them so much more interesting and multi-layered. And as far as like building up investment and building your love and care towards characters goes, this show does it so well, so fast, and then it earns its dramatic moments in its last couple episodes, especially with a few characters. Some of the most dramatic moments, the saddest moments in the show, weren't in the books at all, and I think that's just like was great additions to the source material. So it's like I was trying to think of like a really good way to pitch it without like spoiling some things, because there's a really good way to pitch it, but I think it spoils like one of the major plot points. So I'll just say it's like, if you like young adult teen dramas but actually want them to be more serious and have consequence for stuff and kind of actually go somewhere and not just meander around and fucking do nothing for 10 seasons, watch this, because it's 8 episodes, it's one story, it's really great. That's number 5 of my top 10 TV shows of 2019.
Yep. My number 5 is Stranger Things Season 3. Like Dylan said, it's vast improvement on Season 2. I think when we discussed it, we said everything that we didn't like about Season 2, specifically characters that were introduced, were improved greatly and were much better used this season. And then, of course, they introduced my new favorite character this big year, Robin. And her interactions with Steve and Dustin and that crew was some of my favorite things about television this year. So, Stranger Things on 2 lists. Nick, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is The Boys, the adaptation of the comic book.
Garth Ennis.
Garth Ennis, yes, of course.
Steve Dillon.
Derek Robertson.
Like Dylan, I think this is a better it's better than the source material. For those that don't know, the source material is quite, I guess, edgy in a way. Edgy, but I like the way that this updates and modifies it to, I guess, a contemporary audience. It's incredibly fun to be in that world. Just pretty much everyone's a shitbag, and the way it's acted, the way certain characters, I guess, are all looking for revenge, and the way they deal with the, I guess, Justice League type of kind of thing, where they're all awful people. Yeah, I'm incredibly keen to see where it goes. I think it's a hit for Amazon Prime this year as well. It's quite a good show.
And Anthony Starr's in it.
Yes, true.
Well, Anthony Starr's probably stand out from that show, arguably.
Yep.
I would say that's probably the biggest Amazon Prime show this year.
Yeah, by far, I think.
Yeah. Dylan, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Dark, Season 2. This one is most relatable to Nick's one you talk about for Dairy Girls because I watched the first, like both seasons back to back. So it was kind of like I'm putting it in here in my mind. It's like I'm like I enjoyed both seasons, but I don't really see any difference.
It's hard
quality.
to separate them.
Yeah, it's hard to separate. So either way, it's like one of my favorite things I watched this year. So it was impossible for me not to put the second season on here. German show. So now we've got our balance coming out there. But yeah, it's a German Netflix original series. I think I talked about on here midway into the year. It's one of my favorite sci-fi things I've watched in many, many years, simply because of how I don't know how they do it. I really feel like they've kind of got like an entire warehouse room floor where they're just laying out pieces of paper to make sure everything and all these random plot elements all like connect and come together at the end of it, because the show involves time travel and that gets really confusing fast, especially when you're going to like multiple different time periods and all these sorts of things and like interacting with things. But when you get to the end of the second season, I'm like, that thing came to this thing. Like it really just like pulls it all together where you're just like, wow, that's really, I don't know how you did that. I don't know how you made that all work. And then it's one of those things too where it's like, I definitely feel like if I was to rewatch it when it's over, all done, you'd be like, from episode 1 go, you'd be like, like that thing, that person, this is all like a red herring. So I just feel like it's really well written and it's really well acted. I think the big step up from season 1 to 2, I feel like the acting got a lot better. I don't know if that's simply because of the way certain characters' stories go that kind of force them into being more like, because it does have like a teenage cast. Not all the characters are teenagers, but like the first season starts with a teenage cast, and then the second season they get forced because of events into being more like grown up because of stuff that's happening. So I think that gives the actors a bit more to do, I guess. But yeah, it's definitely my favorite like original sci-fi story I've seen in quite some time, and it would definitely be in my like top 5 most anticipated follow-up seasons for next year. I'm just really, really intrigued, especially with the cliffhanger from this season, to see where it all goes.
Is it in German?
Yes, but you can watch it with fucking terrible lip syncs. Dubbing on. Which the first episode I click start and I'm like, what the fuck? Like I was like quickly grabbed the pause button. I'm like, no, what the hell's going on? And
It's like watching Kung Pao.
Yeah, I was like, it was terrible, and I rushed to turn off. No, but yeah, if you watch it, definitely watch it with subtitles, because no, the English dubbing is terrible.
Yeah. There seems to be a lot of that going on Netflix, of the dubbing of international shows.
I don't know why it's set to do it automatically. I'm like, why this should be an option. Don't force this crap on me.
For Americans.
Oh, fucking hell. Just learn to read.
Yeah, sub not dub.
Yeah. Hell out of here. Honest, but like this is that position, but also like Dark would get my like out of all the TV shows all year that like completely out of left field. You know what I mean? Like I hadn't heard of this. I'm randomly looking for Netflix. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. I should give that show a go. And then like to go from it being I expect it to be okay to, wow, this is like one of my favorite shows of the year. It was definitely like the out of nowhere one for me.
Cool. Number 4 shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. It's BoJack Horseman. Sure, it's only part 1 of the final season, but it's just still that good that it needed to get on my list. This season, all the characters actually improve or make good choices to improve their lives, which is something that they haven't done so far. But I love the characters, love the show. Just seeing everyone being more happy is a joy to see. But you know, it's all probably going to come crumbling down come January. So I'm also looking forward to that, which says a lot, I think, about me. But yeah, BoJack Horseman.
No one can be happy in Ashley's life.
Yeah, if I can't be happy, no. Nick, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is The Righteous Gemstones, the new show by Denny McBride. It follows a family of TV evangelists. Basically, Denny McBride's character gets blackmailed and it's all threatening to come to light, all the debaucherous shit the family gets up to, and it's just a family of all despicable people and their way to, I guess, weasel their way out of being found out. And it's a family drama at heart, I guess. Even though they are bad people, they have kind of redeeming qualities in the way that they, I guess, care for each other in the end. It's got quite a stellar cast. It's got Danny McBride, John Goodman, Walter Goggins, Adam Devine, I think that's how you say his name.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very, very funny, quite serious at times. But yeah, it's well worth the watch, and I think it's one of the better shows of the year. Definitely out of left field for me as well.
Okay. Dylan, what's your number 3?
I was right before Nick went. I was going to say top 3. You're going to start hearing about some shows we've heard a lot about, and then Nick's like, "Yeah, got the Righteous Gemstones over here."
Yeah. Now you'll probably be hearing a lot of shows we talked about.
Yeah. My number 3 is Chernobyl, the miniseries that me and Nick are obviously big fans of. I presume Nick's going to bring it up very soon. It's just was like, it's nearly perfectly written. I really don't. There's like no. It's hard to find any criticisms for the 5. It's 5, right? Episodes. Yeah. Yeah.
From the man that brought you Due Date and the Hangover movies.
And the fucking Hangover movies. It's like, here comes this amazingly well-scripted show where like not a moment is wasted in telling this story, and it's tense when it needs to be tense, it's sad when it needs to be sad, it's horrific when it needs to be horrific, it's funny a couple times, I guess, when it needs to add some levity to the scenes, especially when it comes to like the miners? No.
The miners,
the miners scene, like that adds a bit of, obviously there's like a darkness to that, but at the same time it adds a bit of levity to it. So I just feel like there's, and of course the acting all around is all stars, and it just starts as this thriller and it becomes like a horror movie, and then it ends up as this political courtroom drama and it's quite scary just thinking about the world we may live in, or the world Russia would have lived in without these people who stood up for truth, justice, and definitely not the Russian way. So it's like, it's definitely 100% standout of the year. I feel like it's just one of those shows that everyone should watch, but at the same time, I don't know if everyone could handle watching it because of certain things. But yeah,
cool. My number 3 is A Good Place.
Good place.
I mean, this is the last time I'm going to be able to bring it up on one of these lists, because there's only like 4 episodes left. We got the last 3 episodes of season 3, start of the year. We got another 8, I think, so far this year of season 4. 9 episodes. Oh, treat. It is still one of the best comedies on TV. It is still constantly surprising in the directions it decides to go. The season finale of season 3, Pandemonium, is one of the most heartbreaking things I've experienced so far this year. But then the last episode is the mid-season break episode. The Answer is one of the nice tie-ins to that episode. Like, fits together as a nice puzzle piece. So it all comes together nicely. Just a great show with fun characters. Anytime Jason says something, it makes me happy. So, The Good Place. Catch up now before the final couple episodes come out.
4 episodes left.
4 episodes left.
Just checked.
Before we go to The Bad Place. Nick, what is your number 2?
I just want to preface this that these two are so close together they may as well be one entry, but since we have to split it up, number 2 is going to be Watchmen for me. And it is a phenomenal show. Damon Lindelof has hit it out of the park again. Incredibly written, takes the source material and advances it in a way that is, I guess, beyond what it originally was. The way it ties in, the world building, the threads it ties in, and then they come back together and tie together, and the acting, the casting, just the set design, everything about it is just a stellar show, and I'm really glad that it exists, to be honest. The soundtrack as well. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Is that how you say their names? Yeah. I mean, they're just.
I listen to it non-stop. It's fucking great.
And I can't imagine watching this show without knowing what The Watchmen is, because just what you get out of it, knowing that, how, I guess, faithful and lovingly they tie those together as well. It's just Yeah, a phenomenal show.
We should note, as of recording, because this will come out after...
We're recording before the finale.
Yeah, we're recording before the finale. So the finale's out.
I mean, everything
tomorrow
fall apart, but...
Not to date this, but I just want to, like... Because it's high, but, like, I highly doubt the season finale is going to ruin the show, but I would love to have seen the season finale so I could be like, and it ended perfectly. Like,
yeah. So, Dylan, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is When They See Us, which is another miniseries that I obviously spent a bit of time talking about this year. I find it, like, it's really weird because in a lot of ways, I consider that and Chernobyl very similar to me. They're just, like, these couple episodes that I think are really well written, really well told. I think the reason I like this more than Chernobyl, when it comes down to it, even though I would say that Chernobyl is better written, not that this is badly written, I just think that Chernobyl has like no blemishes when it comes to its script. The reason that this hit me more, I guess, because like as I've talked about before, like by the time I got finished this series, I was like crying a lot, and then I went and watched the freaking Oprah thing, and then I just cried some more and whatever else. Where Chernobyl was just more shocking and like shock factor to me, and be like, well, this is fucked up, this is terrible. Whereas this just hit me more in my heart hole than my like brain hole, I guess. So that's why it just affected me more. But same, it's like Ava DuVernay, I think, is this amazing director, of course, at the moment that we've got happening. She's telling lots of stories and purposely telling Black American stories, going out of the way to tell them and bring them to the screen, bring them to movie screens, of course, Selma and things. But and with this, she tells a story I had no idea about, and I'm glad that I now know about, because I think it's obviously a terrible thing that happened to these kids who were falsely accused and locked up for different periods of time for the rape and murder of this jogger in Central City Park in New York City. And the series just tracks them across the first episode covers that case, and the second episode kind of covers the trial, and third episode covers when some of them come out, and then you get to the last person, what happens to them in the last episode. And it's terrible. It's really well acted. Of course, I should bring up the one guy, Jerome. Yeah, Gerald Jerome won the Emmy, wasn't it?
Yes.
Or what was it? Yes,
He
the
won
Emmy for best acting as well. So that was really, really good. And he's the standout person from the show, because he's the only kid actor that also plays then the adult version of the same character. Or it's a weird to say character because it's a real life person. So, but yeah, stuck with me all year up until the point I was making this list, and I still think that watching this is just that hit me. It affected me. I was like, this is fucked, to put it bluntly. So yeah.
My number 2 is also Watchmen. I think it is. I was slow getting into it, but as soon as it got its grips into me, it's been riveting television ever since. I think it is constantly surprising and shocking, the different reveals and storylines they've done and how it all relates back to the Watchmen source material. I think it's brilliantly acted. Regina King is fantastic. What's her name? Who plays?
Who?
I have to look it up.
I got on DB.
Laurie.
Jean Smart.
Jean Smart. That I think it's that third episode she's introduced. Blows the show. That is where it's hooks into me. Her performance in that is credible. And yeah, just the way they've managed to weave the mythology through the show. Top notch. Incredible. So yeah, Watchmen, one of the best shows of the year. Nick, what is your number 1 show of 2019?
We can all
even though it is slightly just, it is tied with number 2.
Yep. Game of Thrones season 8.
Yep, called it.
But which this will come as no surprise for anybody that knows me. It's Chernobyl.
A just world is a sane world. There was nothing sane about Chernobyl.
I'm pleased to report that the situation in Chernobyl is stable. In terms of radiation, I'm told it's the equivalent of a chest x-ray.
No, Chernobyl is on fire. And every atom of uranium is like a bullet, penetrating everything in its path. Metal, concrete, flesh. Now, Chernobyl holds over 3 trillion of these bullets. Some of them will not stop firing for 50,000 years.
Tell me how to put it out.
You are dealing with something that has never occurred on this planet before.
I feel like this is a show created like just for me, because for the longest time I have had a interest in history, particularly Soviet history and Chernobyl. That area of Ukraine, all of it, is just seeing that lovingly. I guess lovingly.
It is,
yeah, recreated to tell the story of the people involved and what happened, even down to like I listened to the podcast with the creator, and just the lengths they went to make it as accurate as they possibly could, with shooting on location at the sister power plant, even consulting with Russian people that were living there at the time, what it was like, down to the mannerisms and the sayings they would say each other. Like everything was yes, comrade, and just bringing it down to such a accurate way to retell the story, and just giving it justice of the story of what happened, bringing it to light to the general public that may not even know anything at all about it other than ancillary kind of like secondhand stories.
Well, all I knew is that it exploded, it blew up, obviously,
exactly
before I watched the series. So yeah.
That's right. Yeah, it's just phenomenally acted, casted, shot, scored. I mean, I can't think of a negative thing to say about it. It is just a phenomenal, stellar piece of filmmaking, television making. It'd be hard-pressed to find a show that would top it on any list for me.
Apart from the fact you just said 1 and 2 are very close.
They are very close, but still Chernobyl takes it out just for... I guess it hits me...
It's
so
made for you.
Closely to home. Yeah, it's exactly. It's. I'm a mark for it.
Dylan, what is your number one show of 2019?
My number one show of 2019 is Watchmen.
There are people who believe that this world is fair and good. It's all lollipops and rainbows. We don't do lollipops and rainbows. We know those are pretty colors that just hide what the world really is. Black and white.
Soon thou shalt save us, and we will whisper, no.
We convinced ourselves that they were gone, but they were just hibernating.
They came for everybody. All please.
Coordinated simultaneous attacks at the homes of Tulsa PD. So the cops hide their faces, and now the bad guys don't know where they live. And who doesn't want a secret identity?
Ta-da!
I feel like this is very obvious because every week I'm pretty much yelling in my room about how this show to me is about 100 places above my second place. Like I think that this show is so good, and to me this is. I honestly feel like without Watchmen, I would say it was a somewhat disappointing year of TV, because as good as like When They See Us and Chernobyl and these other things on my list are, they're all like miniseries, and they're not like, they didn't have me constantly week by week like grabbed and really like on the edge of my seat, like yes, like what's next week? I can't wait. Let me, like, oh, this is so good. Like this is the only show that I've had. Like in previous years, the show that would usually fill that slot for me has been Better Call Saul, to be honest, which obviously we didn't get this year because that's the only other show where I'm like, oh, what's going to happen next? What's all this? But Watchmen's just, it's so fucking good. I don't know how it's so good. Like, I was always going to
It's
watch
better than
it.
it has any right to be.
Yeah, it honestly is like, it's one of those shows where it just really does deserve that saying, because as I was going to watch it and I expected it to be okay. I just expected it to be a perfectly okay series, and yet it comes out and it's, I know this is like blasphemy for a lot of people, and it's like one of those weird things where, you know, putting the horse before the carriage before the horse, no, horse before the carriage, whatever the fucking saying is, but I think that this is better than the comic book to me now. And I know that's one of those things where it's like, oh, but you wouldn't have this without the comic book. And I'm like, I understand that, but like, if I had to pick between the original comic book or this as to what like just is so much more enjoyable, it's going to be this, because I just think it's so much more relevant. Obviously, because the comic is so old, and it's like talking about the events it's handling in that, like the Doomsday Clock element of the original comic book compared to the Doomsday element of this, and these sorts of things. It's just like this one's more relatable to me, and I guess that's why it's like hitting more, and I just find it so much more fun to watch. But it's like literally everything. There's not every single character in this show is great. Somehow they've managed to pace out so much over such a short amount of episodes. I have no idea. I also feel like I've watched 2 seasons somehow, because I'm like, wait, they spent an entire episode of Tim Blake Nelson's character, basically. They spent an entire episode of these other characters, Laurie Blake, all these sorts of things. And they've still had this massive like interwoven story happening that's like tying together so many different elements and things. And I feel safe going into the season finale that they're going to tie up all of it, if not like 90% of it, like enough to appease me, I guess. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a few loose strings hung around just because, you know, like we maybe do a second season, or, you know, these sorts of things. But as a show, I'm like, this show's so good. It is just, the music's so good, the costumes are so good, the acting's so good. It's just the only show.
Not just the score, but like the song choices they make in this show is excellent as well.
Yeah, play at certain points and these sorts of things. Yeah, and but it's just, it is easily on top of my list. There was no debate in my mind. You know, like I sat down to make my top 10. It's just like Watchmen. All right, what's next? There's nothing else this year has made me as happy as Watchmen has, and I had no idea. You know, like week by week, I'm like, this show. It's one of those things too, because I kept expecting it to get bad, and then I was so happy that it never got bad. You know, like week by week, I'd be like, because I loved the first episode. I was like, wow, Night Sister comes out of left field. I'm like, fucking Regina King's now like my number one crush. I'm like, let's go. This show's great. Second episode, it's still great. Third episode, oh my god, it's still every episode's great. What's happening? There's no way to wrap it up. They do an entire episode that's like a flashback thing, and it's all fucking shot in black and white. It's amazing, and they work in a flashback episode in a kind of weird sci-fi way that I have no problem with, and it works perfectly within the plot, and it's great, and I like everything it tackles. I guess like the last thing, like as I was saying, like the reason I think I like it more than the comic book is because it's just more like the political elements of this show, and the reason that some people don't like it are things that I guess I'm more attuned with and interested in. You know, the show hits. Yeah. I feel like
it's not
I'm a
20, 30 years old.
Yeah. Well, it's very much in that vein. It's very similar to the comic book, that it deals with contemporary issues of the time.
Yeah, because that's that was my number. Like straight away, I start seeing after the first episode, people online like, oh, they've turned Watchmen into like political commentary and all this sort of shit. I was like, did you read the fucking comic book, you dickhead? Like, understand if you're incapable of being like, this is different politics that they're tackling, but it's still politics. I mean, the comic was very political. This is very political. It's very much suits the tone of the first comic book. And not only like new elements they bring in, like current day political type things to do with race and these sorts of things, but the way they managed to type in the way they managed to tie that story of like race into superheroes into the comic book, like the way they managed to tie that all in, I was like, wow, that was like a clap. Nearly every episode has a moment at the end where I'm like, that's so good. That's so. Also, Adrian Veidt's whole storyline, that's what a performance from
Jeremy Irons.
Like, what a phenomenal performance. He's basically just doing it out there with two actors in a room, but where they're all playing a million versions, you know, clones and stuff. But he's phenomenal as well. So
yep.
I love it. I'm gonna reread the comic, I think, after the show's finished, and maybe even rewatch the movie. And I think that this is so good to me. I love this series so much. and I just want to rewatch it straight away as soon as it's done. But I love it so much that I think it's going to improve the other stuff to me. You know, like I feel like this will elevate the older stuff to me.
It'll fit in differently, but yeah, it'll have elements.
Yeah, I just feel like my love for Watchmen as a franchise has gone from I like Watchmen, it's fine, to like I love this series so much that it's going to make me more interested in Watchmen as a whole. You know?
Yeah, you're like fuck Alan Moore. I don't care about his views on the creative how much creative ownership. I want more of this.
Honestly, from everything I know about Alan Moore, I feel like if he watched this, he would like it. He's just fucking stubborn.
Yeah. Also, Doomsday Clock, get out of here.
The comic book, or
yeah,
I mean, I'm still reading that.
This is the true successor.
I've one issue left, and it doesn't hold a candle to this. Obviously, I mean, I haven't read that before. Watchmen comic book series they did a couple of years ago.
That's the one I want to go back and read because I want to see if it fits in.
Don't
with
think
a certain
it does.
character.
No, it does. It doesn't with that certain character at all. And what they've done with all those characters before Watchmen, the Minutemen, certain characters in this is way better than anything they did in that comic book. This is like head and shoulders about anything they've done since the original Watchmen. Yeah. What a show. Love
HBO has hit it out of the park once again.
They have. I mean, Chernobyl in this.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Some other things.
Look forward to our spoiler review discussion of Watchmen, I guess, because it sounds like Dylan wants to get some more thoughts off his chest at some point.
I really wish I'd been doing something weekly because I could have talked about it for 10 hours on a weekly by week basis. But
we can do a rewatch.
I didn't know it was going to be that good.
Well, my number one show of 2019 is Fleabag Season 2.
You know when you've done everything? And you've even...
Do you want to have sex?
No. And you feel great. And even though your sister still hates you... Thank you. You're pretending to be friends because your dad is... I'm joking, he's just there.
Here's to love. So why do you think your father suggested you come for counselling?
Because I spent most of my adult life using sex to deflect from the screaming void inside my empty heart. I'm good at this.
You close with your family?
Is that fair? Yes, but it's okay because it had a stroke. Oh, lovely.
We get on with it. Hi.
Thought you'd be in prison by now.
Oh, well, keep trying, but they just won't have me.
You look strong.
Oh, my God!
Are you?
Oh, I'm a pretty normal person.
What makes you a normal person?
Well, I don't believe in God.
I love it when he does that.
It is a show that I find myself constantly going back to and rewatching episodes. I think it is one of easily the best written show this year, or at least the best one in 30 minutes or less. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is like the creative genius. I think she's just... Season 1 of Fleabag was really good, but I feel like it relied a fair bit on shock factor and this person being like a sexually positive person and that kind of thing. Season 2 is not relying on that so much. It's so much heart and honesty and sort of religious elements added to the show. Even just in the score, like you feel that hymn music being added to the score to fill in with the setting of her falling in love with the priest, which that is an issue because they're supposed to be not having sex. Supposed to, and there's a great gag early in the season about that. But yeah, I just love this show. There's such great monologues and pieces of dialogue that I've written down and gone, just reading makes me feel good. Yeah. Andrew Scott, great in the show. Completely different to the other characters you've probably seen him play or is known for. Oh. Yeah, very slightly different to Moriarty. Yeah. Great show. If you really want to dive in season 2 and check it out, because it is worth watching, but
it's only 2 seasons though, isn't it?
It's only 2 seasons. There are only 6 episodes, six episodes each season, half hour. It's not that much of a time investment.
Yeah, I mean the second season was the last one. Like they're not doing another one, are they?
She said she's not going to do another one unless it's like 20 years in the future.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Fleabag. So that's our top 10 films. No, top 10 TV shows of 2019.
Yeah.
Let us know what were your top 10 shows of 2019. At Explosion Pod on Twitter.
Is there any surprises that anyone's list that they're like, oh, this person surely would have had that, but no,
not really. No?
Just thinking then.
What shows did you wish you watched this year? For me, I wish I'd seen Chernobyl, obviously.
I wish I hadn't seen Game of Thrones.
My number one wish, I think, at the moment would be I wish I'd found the time to get through the Succession. Because obviously I talked about how much I really enjoyed watching that when we did it for the Emmys episode, but then I just haven't had a chance to go back to it. So if I had to pick one show, that would probably be it, Succession.
Yeah. Also, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, I wish I'd gotten season 3 in, but
it drops literally a week ago.
6th of December. It's like it's very hard to fit it in. I did start watching Looking for Alaska. I got like an episode and a half in, and then I got sidetracked by other content we needed to make, but I think I'm going to go back and catch up on that as well.
I'm glad you at least are enjoying that much, yeah.
Yes. All right, let's get into what do we end up watching. Dylan, what do we end up watching?
Ho, 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 it's Nightmare Before Christmas.
Welcome to an extraordinary world filled with magic and wonder. Open your mind and let yourself go to a place where every day is Halloween and every night Jack Skellington
I am the Pumpkin King!
dreams of something different.
What is this? It's someplace new.
Jack, look out!
What's this? What's this? There's color everywhere. What's this? There's white things in the air. What's this? I can't believe my eyes. I must be dreaming. Wake up, Jack, this isn't fair. What is this? Haven't you heard of peace on earth and goodwill toward men?
Yes, the 1993 film directed by Henry Selick, featuring the voices of Chris Sarandon, Catherine O'Hara, William Hickey, Ken Page, Paul Rubens, Glenn Shaddick, and Ed Ivory. Jack Skellington, king of Halloween Town, discovers Christmas Town, but his attempts to bring Christmas to his home causes confusion. I think we sort of collectively agreed to kind of do this one. Nick had never seen this film before. I have watched the start of this movie several times, but then my little brother, who would be watching at the same time, would drop off and then would never finish it. So, Dylan,
I've probably seen it 20 times.
You've seen this
30 times.
You've never.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it buttload. So I like it
forever. So, you like it. Why do you like it?
It's just I think because I watched it when I was like grade 7, first time. I just think it has a magical quality to it. Then I don't know if it'll have magical quality to kids these days, but it's like when I watched it back then, it was like everything about it like impressed me and just seemed magical. Like the stop motion of it all, the songs, the characters, the world, like the whole idea of. I also think like just like combining Halloween with Christmas, which are kind of antithetical a bit because like one's like dark and brooding, and the other one's like very colorful and cheery. So I think that was like an interesting element. All of the songs are great. I also think it's just easily rewatchable because it's only like an hour 20 or whatever it is. It doesn't have this drag along for too long where you can't be like, I can't be bothered watching that. So, it's just a lot of fun. People have arguments over whether it's a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie. I think it's undoubtedly a Christmas movie. I don't really think it's up for debate, but I guess one of the reasons I'd watch it so much is because then as I progressed through high school, I eventually got a girlfriend who liked it so much as well. So then that was like a connecting factor, and we both would watch the movie quite a bit. So you've asked me to watch. No, it's fine. No, it's a really, really fun movie. And then to tie it into gaming somewhat, then when I played Kingdom Hearts 1 in high school as well, they have a Nightmare Before Christmas land in that, which was my favorite level of that game as well, because it had Sora, Goofy, and Donald all dress up in like the best costumes when they entered that world, and you got to interact with Jack Skellington, and the boss fight at the end of that was Oogie Boogie, and that was all great stuff. So I feel like my high school years, I had a lot of Nightmare Before Christmas related things happening,
Cool. Nick, what did you think of A Nightmare Before Christmas?
Meh. I mean, on a technical level, it was very impressive with the stop motion. The songs were catchy, but the story of it, I just couldn't get into. Like, Jack Skellington is a shit person. Like, he fucking invades Christmas and decides to steal it for himself. Fucking kidnap fucking Santa Claus and try and take in everything for himself. Like, I don't think there's anything redeeming about him as a character. It's not a very heartwarming movie either. Like, I just couldn't get into it.
Okay. Admittedly, you're a bit of an animated film hater, so you want to rebut that?
Well, I don't hate it because it's animated. I hate it because it's not a very good movie. It's certainly not magical for a 29-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm probably in the middle. I enjoy it, but I don't think it's like a fantastic film. I think it gets weaker as the film goes on. I think it has a really enjoy. All the good stuff is at the start of the film, I feel like.
This is Halloween.
Yeah, all the that and What's This are like
one.
my two favorite
That's
songs
my
out of the film.
What is this?
And they're like in the first half, and then it's like nothing quite lives up to that. Again, I think I saw it first in Kingdom Hearts, which before I actually saw the film, so that I enjoy that part of it, fighting Oogie Boogie and that kind of thing. I don't understand why Oogie Boogie has this gambling thing. What is Oogie Boogie?
Yeah.
Why
he shows up in like the last 20 minutes of the movie?
No, he's at the start. Watch opening credits, opening sequence again. He's in the
moon. Yeah, but yeah, why is he separate? Everybody else?
He's the bad boy.
I don't know. Why does he love gambling?
He's a bad boy.
Why does he love gambling?
It's Halloween. They're all bad. He's no worse than Jack Skellington.
He doesn't understand. He doesn't know.
He's innocent.
He's
he doesn't
thief.
think things
Jack's
fully
misguided.
through.
Is all. He's not a bad guy. He's misguided.
Yeah.
He doesn't realize what he's doing is wrong.
You know.
Oh, okay.
Well,
so that holds up.
In this Disney animated movie, it does. In different real world scenarios, it probably doesn't.
I mean,
and what's Tim Burton's connection to this?
He wrote the story and created, I think, character designs and that kind of stuff.
All right.
So that's why his name's on it. And you can tell it's a Tim Burton related thing. It looks very Tim Burton-ish.
Also,
I think I think the real villain of this film is Dr. Finkelstein, who's keeping Sally trapped in a room and constantly is treating her like his property.
Well, I mean,
but yeah.
I guess he did make her. What's the rules there?
Yeah, you make your child, but you don't keep him like property. And well, I guess you do to a certain degree. She's an adult.
I don't know.
Adult-ish.
Maybe she was only born a week before the movie starts. I don't know.
Maybe. I can't believe.
50 years old though. Also, it's worth pointing out that the singing voices are different for everyone, and Danny Elfman does the Jack voice. Yeah,
voice of Jack. Yeah.
So,
which is surprising. I don't recall seeing Danny Elfman sing anything.
It does in
else
like a couple
maybe.
other songs from movies and just things, but everyone thinks of Danny Elfman from, I guess, making like Batman or like Tim Burton scores and composing stuff. But yeah, in this he's the singing voice as well.
It's crazy. But yeah, I enjoy it. I think like I said, the start of the film is so good, especially that opening with just introducing all the different characters and setting up the world. And I think Jack Skellington's got a cool design, and that's why he's on every single piece of merchandise still 20-something years later, and people 30 years later.
Yeah, I don't know how many people have seen the movie, or if like it's one of those things where the property is surpassed. It's just a merchandise thing these days, and people like I feel like sometimes I'd be like, "Do you know that's a movie? Oh, is it?" You know, like it might be one of those things where it's like kind of surpass. People just think it looks like a cool Halloween thing, I guess. Because I see heaps of this Nightmare Before Christmas merchandise, but I don't walk into a DVD store and see lots of copies of Nightmare Before Christmas hanging around. You know, over the balances.
So Nick, weigh in finally. Is this a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie?
Halloween.
You're just trying to be...
It's appropriating Christmas.
No, it's a Christmas movie to me. I feel like it's set at Christmas. And Santa ends up saving the day. So, it makes everybody happy. I don't know why, spoilers, Jack and Sally suddenly fall in love right at the end of the film. When
it's not set at Christmas, though. Part of the movie's Christmas, but the other part's Halloween.
No.
No! The movie starts when Halloween finishes.
Yeah, the movie actually starts as Halloween finishes, so it's like...
That's a whole month and a bit before Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, to build up to Christmas.
So it's not set at Christmas.
The fucking Santa Claus movies take place over a year.
All right. That'll bring us to the end of this episode of What Do You Want to Watch? Nick, where can people still find you on the internet?
You can find me on Trakt at Lord Emperor.
Also on Twitter. And Nick, Dylan, where can people find you on the internet?
I just want to point out quickly that the other choice we had for this movie was Die Hard. We ended up watching Nightmare Before Christmas. And I would love an alternative universe where Nick's sitting here arguing that Die Hard isn't a Christmas movie. He would be like, Die Hard's a Christmas movie? What are you talking about? And then it's going on. It's just ultimate ends and stick here. You can find me on all places on the internet at Vivaldil, VRVALADIL.
Yeah, you can find me at those places, Ashley Hobley, ASHLEYHOBLEY. You can follow the Explosion Network, which is a part of at Explosion Pod on Twitter. You can go to youtube.com, check out all our video contents, including our top 5 and top 10 videos, which will be out on YouTube, and all our articles, which will be over at explosionnetwork.com this week, celebrating the best in TV for 2019. If you want to talk to us about it, you can go over to our Discord at explosionnetwork.com/Discord. Send us an email at mail@explosionnetwork.com. And if you want to help us out, leave us a review either on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser, or leave us a review on Twitter. Send us something nice, or tell a friend about tell a friend about the show. Tell them that they need to listen to our top 10 shows of 2019. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess. Every Saturday, catch Arcade Couch Ashley and others when you listen to a brand new episode of Arcade Couch, the Explosion Network's variety video game podcast. Sit back, relax on the couch to chill with your friends and hear about the latest industry news, as well as our opinions on the latest releases and what we've been playing. Just search your podcasting app for Arcade Couch and subscribe for free now. Hashtag Physical Media Forever. Hashtag Physical Media 2038. Hashtag Cuties.
Was this the last episode of the year?
Yes, technically.
Happy New Year!
See ya in 2020.
See you next
Die
decade.
Hard's set in Christmas, but it's not a Christmas movie.
Oh my fucking god.